All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to our webinar. My name is Andrew Townsend. I'm marketing operations here at Smarty. Today's webinar is about international addresses, and we're very excited to get started. However, before I introduce our presenters and we dive into our content, we'll go over a couple of the standard housekeeping items. One, yes, this webinar will be recorded. We will send a copy of it out to everybody who registered for this session, so you'll be able to find that in your inbox later today. You'll also be able to share that with others. If you feel that there's someone else that may benefit from this content, you'll be able to forward that video on to them and they can view it at their leisure. Second, to interact with our presenter and, of course, other audience members, we love to hear all of your questions and comments. Feel free to use the chat and the Q&A features inside of the Zoom webinar interface. We'll be looking through those questions and bringing them up to our presenters, and we want to make sure that you get everything out of this session that you're hoping to get out of. We'd hate for you to join a webinar that you think you're going to benefit from and then you don't. So please do use that, and we'll get to as many of your questions and comments as we can. Our presenters today are Acacia Warner, one of our back-end software engineers, and Caroline Roten, an associate product manager over our international products with us. They're both experts in this particular field, and we're excited to hear what you guys have to share today. So without further ado, Acacia and Caroline.
Hi. Experts might be a strong word, but we're going to give it our best shot. But today we're going to be talking about, as you can see, mastering international address verification and autocomplete with Smarty products. So we'll start just with a general kind of overview of why we think Smarty is cool and why it's a good place for you to be getting your address data cleansing. And then I'll get into some specifics about products, and then Acacia is going to go over some demos and kind of be more of the technical side of the webinar. So we're going to start first with kind of what is between you and clean address data. International address data specifically, it's kind of different from the US just because literally every single country is different with the way that they format addresses. At Smarty, we have over 240 plus different countries that we support with our international address products, which is 240 different address formats with each unique postal authority having their own rules. And just, yeah, they're like secondaries, apartment versus flat. There's a lot of different things there. And then the order of the addresses. And then obviously like a big problem is the different languages. Not a problem, but I mean something that varies from country to country in language. Language is the characters that you're using, the different scripts. So we have tools that will address that, which is awesome. And then different levels of data. So that's also something where if you're not using the best provider for these services, for these address verification autocomplete services, you're not going to get complete data. And every country is very different, depending on what we have. We have Canada versus, a smaller country, a little island somewhere. It's going to vary a lot. So it just depends. And then user error is a big one that stands between you and your ability to have clean address data, just because people mess things up. And, whether that's employees entering data or your users, just depending on what's going on. But the problem with bad address data is that it grows the more that your business grows. So the more users that you have, the more data that you have, errors will increase and kind of compound, and then that will affect the resources you're working with, revenue and stuff. So want to catch it early while we can, which is where we think Smarty is a really cool option for a couple of reasons. But the most important, I think, before I was a product manager at Smarty, I was a customer success manager. So I spent a lot of time interacting with our clients. And one thing that I heard often, I do these check-ins and be like, how are you guys doing? What's up with our product? What's good? What's bad? And it was mostly like, okay, like when we implemented, we saw, life-changing differences with our address data. And then after that, it just runs in the background. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. We don't want to stir up any trouble. We just want to make sure that we're a good part of your automated business processes and making sure that we're running smoothly in the background. And then additionally, that we have various tools that will help you meet your various needs. So maybe you're here and you already have US address verification or US address, data cleansing products. But we have international products as well, so we can have everything all through one vendor. And then also just even different purposes, so we have a lot of people that are using our product externally, like customer facing, just with like form like, filling out forms, they use our autocomplete products and things like that. But internally as well, there's anywhere where people are entering addresses is really important to have, whether it's employees entering addresses and you use that for taxing purposes or billing or whatever you might do. So there's a lot of different ways you can implement our product that aren't just customer facing, which is pretty cool. Make your process a little more smooth. And then obviously very, very quick data processing speeds. And we have a lot of different options for that you can see when you're going through our different plans. And then another thing that I heard as well as the CSM often was that it was pretty quick to implement, very easy and straightforward, which is awesome. And then also you can use our products in tandem with each other. So a great use case that I've seen a lot is using autocomplete. If a user decides not to, pick one of the suggested addresses we have and do their own thing, kind of go rogue, you can set something up so that the address will still be verified after that. It'll do do you mean this address, and it'll still give them back a verified address even if they're trying to go their own path. So you can use all of our products together and they work really well together, which is awesome. And then our international data is updated quarterly to provide the best data that we possibly can. So it's pretty cool. And then I'm not going to be talking the whole time. I swear, Acacia is going to come in with these demos, but I'm going to get a little more specific, just product to product. So if you're here, I would assume that you know what address verification is, but it's just the process of standardizing and validating an address. So every address that we return is a real address. It's something that you're not going to end up sending mail to some random, I don't know, shack somewhere. It's going to be a real address that we can work with. So that's pretty sweet. I'm sorry. So the benefit of address verification is preventing any address errors before they happen. As things are going into your database, you can make sure to cleanse before. If you have an existing database that you're ready to cleanse, it's awesome because before you mail anything out or do anything important with those addresses, you can get them all cleansed first.
Caroline, you said a moment earlier that most of the people here, if not all of them, are aware of address verification and they may already need it for different things. So I'm wondering if everybody in the audience, or some of you, anybody that's willing, I'd love to know what you're using address verification for. Are you using it to clean up mailing lists? Are you using it to ensure that you've got accurate data coming in? Are you looking for like an autocomplete? I'm just curious what people's use cases are here in the group that might help us speak to those specific needs a little bit better. But are you here because you're looking for a product that offers transliteration? Are you here because your current tool is too slow? Let us know in the chat or the Q&A. You could send us a letter via mail, but it won't get here before the webinar ends. So please do use one of those and let us know what problems you're trying to solve with international address verification, and that'll help us know what to focus on.
Yeah, totally. But until then, I'm just going to keep talking. So whatever works. But with these, like I was saying before, we have so many different international address formats, which is, no, you're good. There's a few different errors that can come with poor international address formats. We have the address could be incomplete. It could be just wrong. Someone entered it in wrong, on purpose. If there's some fraud or security things happening, could be not formatted correctly, or an outdated address that isn't real anymore, maybe duplicate addresses. So that's where address verification is really helpful within your organization. And then it leads to, increased costs with the poor information going in. Time is money. If you have these bad addresses, you're wasting time doing analysis or maybe sending out mail or whatever you're doing with these addresses, like Andrew was asking about. It's just kind of a waste of time to have these addresses that aren't real or aren't doing anything for you. So, and then we have, like I was saying earlier, Awesome Speeds is specifically for international address verification. We can meet your needs that way. And then transliteration, so the process of converting characters in address to different scripts, not just, Latin characters there, kind of helps bridge language barriers if you're a US company doing international business. And then also just different precision levels, which you can see in the picture here, we have, I kind of cut it off there, but on the left side is the address precision, the address verification precision levels. And on the right is the geocoding precision levels. So you can see how they vary for countries.
Where it says delivery point and premise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just varying for different countries depending on where we are and the kind of data that we have.
Excellent.
Countries.
One of the comments that came in, one individual said that they're looking for a high quality API. So I know that in our presentation, we're going to be talking about the API fairly deeply. Am I wrong about that?
I mean, cases, gonna get into that.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so sorry,
we have very good documentation on our API as well, so I can go over that and show where to find it.
Yeah. So that's kind of address verification, and then we get into geocoding. So the cool thing about our international address verification product is that it includes international geocoding. So that's our gift to you, as it says. It's kind of sweet that we include that, because there's a lot of different reasons to have that. But again, if maybe you don't know, maybe you do, but geocodes are latitude and longitude values, and by themselves, geocodes are not necessarily helpful. They're literally just numbers. So it's like, what am I supposed to do with that? But it can help you just because you have these different points, and you can see, this address, maybe this house address is close to this location of one of your businesses, or it's in between these two emergency medical services that someone can get to, so that it can just be helpful with piecing information together and mapping, or maybe good for spotting risks if you're looking at, insurance. Like maybe it's a little bit too close to the water. It's a little bit, it's in this area where it's a little more rough, whatever it might be.
In our audience, are there any? I'm curious who's interested in geocoding internationally here. Could you just hit the raise hand button? So right down the bottom, if you're interested in geocoding. I feel like it's kind of a secret weapon that a lot of people don't know that they want or need. So I'm just curious how many here. It looks like 10% have raised their hands. So a smaller subsection, but they can be the secret weapon in address validation and address tools.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, if you already have international address verification with us, or if you're planning on purchasing it, like what could you add by playing around with the geocoding resources that we have? But we have, there's a lot of different use cases. You can see it's strategic planning, making sure you're doing your sales mapping correctly, supply chain management, even if you have things coming in from other countries, property management, emergency services, planning, even market analysis, trying to see where your customers are in relation to where you want them to be, things like that. So, and then again, different precision levels for geocoding and address verification, just depending on the country. And that's where Acacia can kind of get into showing us a little bit more about the actual API and what we're going to see with those results.
Yeah, so I'm just going to navigate over to our smarty.com. And if you go to products and then international address verification, this gives us some more details on this product. And then way at the bottom is our demo. So you can kind of see an example. And so we're going to actually go with a sample of an address in Japan. And obviously, when you implement this for your customers will be filling out these fields or whatever use case you have for it. But as you can see, we can specify the country of Japan and then the address. And so it is something that's cool, in my opinion, is whatever language you put in as your input, Smarty tries to match that in the output. So as you see, we put in this address and then the result is also in Japanese. If you would like to change this, you can specify the language field. And let's say we want to transliterate this back into Latin characters. And so if we put in Latin and then view that, you can see that it was transliterated back to the Romanized version. And and then as Caroline said, we have these awesome geocodes. You do need to specify the geocode field to be true. And then you can see the latitude and longitude here. Any questions about that? We have several SDKs that can help you implement our products in whatever language you would like. So I know we'll be talking about that a little bit later, but yeah.
So there's a question that's come up, and we might have to direct them to a customer success or support, but they're saying that in my organization, we're using Smarty address verification to get the complete address of the exporter or importer when we're creating declaration for our clients. But sometimes the Asian country address does not work properly. I think we would need to know a little bit more information in order to help with that situation. Acacia, right in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little chat bubble. Yep, right there. So anywhere on smarty.com, on any of the sites, there's this little chat bubble. If you open it, would you mind just demoing it really quick? If you open it and then you type, I need help. Oh, we're all seeing how fast Acacia types. And then you hit enter. And then it will, they're going to want, put in my email address, andrew@smarty.com. Haha, now you're cookied as me. Boom, Lisa. That's real Lisa. That's Lisa downstairs. And yeah, she wants to help. Just tell her she passed the test on a live webinar.
You passed the test.
Yeah. But yeah, this is who you'll want to reach out to, and they can really dive in and help you work out the nitty-gritty of the issue. And they're willing to jump on a phone call or a Zoom call to help you out with that as well. So this turned into a good demo of our support as well.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, having best-in-class support is something that we pride ourselves on, especially, we talk about it a lot within the organization, how it's awesome that, you know, our support team will get in a request. If you're specific with the addresses, it's awesome because then we can work with you that way to try to figure out exactly what's going on. But instantly, you know, any questions that they can't answer go straight to our developers like Acacia, and they can start looking into it and get back to you. No tickets, no anything like that. So that's kind of where Smarty is pretty awesome in that sense. But yeah, I don't know if there's any more questions on the API, but we can keep going.
We'll get back to section.
Okay. Yeah, so then we have our international autocomplete product, which is kind of the other half of our products here. So we've had international autocomplete for a while, but in the last few months, we've updated our autocomplete. Actually, just within the last month, we've started rolling out these major improvements with our V2 update. So there's quite a few things that have changed, and we've been really happy with the results. We've been excited to get it out, solving a lot of issues that way. But there's three kind of things that have been enhanced a lot with this V2 update, which is refined algorithms. We have better prediction and suggesting of international addresses, just as a whole, you know, being able to match better to what the customer is looking for. Support for subunits, which is, we include the ability to autocomplete address subunits by utilizing an address ID, which Acacia will get into a little bit later, but that's something that's been asked for a long time. So that's really exciting that we've got that for you now. And then better postal code handling. So you can have the ability to enter a postal code first and then narrow down the search a lot quicker that way. So for anyone that's an existing, this is kind of a good plug for us. Anyone that's an existing customer, you should have gotten an email kind of talking through the changes that'll need to happen for you in order for you to access this V2 update. But we're sure you'll be happy with it, and you've got some test lookups in your account to play with there. And any new customers, we're happy to get you some test lookups as well if you reach out to our sales team. So that's pretty sweet. And then the best part about our international autocomplete is that you're only going to get returned addresses that are standardized and validated. So clean address only going into your database, which is super awesome. You know, just stopping errors before they can even happen. And then just on the customer experience side of autocomplete, it's awesome because you're predicting these addresses in real time while the user's typing, just to get it done, no friction, which is something that we've seen a lot. And our marketing team has seen a lot in their research, you know, for friction with form fills that just cause people to abandon your site. So that's not what you want. You want to keep people there as long as you can and get them to sell your product. So we're here to help you and in that sense. But yeah, it is definitely, you guys have all used websites that have form fill or autocomplete, and the ones that don't have it. And obviously it's much better, much quicker to do it that way. So that's pretty cool. But Acacia can jump in here and kind of demo specifically with our address ID and how that's helpful. So,
so we're going to start off with a few curls, and then I'll get into on our demo page, we have the autocomplete API implemented, and so you can see what that would look like. So first of all, let's go over the address ID field a little bit. So an address ID is just a unique identifier that is it represents either a group of addresses, such as like an apartment building, or maybe all the addresses on a street will have a unique address ID, as well as a single address or a single apartment in an apartment building will also have an address ID. It's a little confusing, so I'll get into how we actually use it. So it's just much easier to see that way. So in our first curl, you can see this here. So this is how we call our API. And if you can see, I have this search term and I'm just putting 11 Laguna Parkway. And then if you see, I am specifying the country as CAN or Canada. At Smarty, we do specify our countries using the ISO3 code. So CAN for Canada, or JPN for Japan, AUS for Australia, and so on. And so right now, I'll just tell you guys that 11 Laguna Parkway is actually an apartment building in Canada. And then let's see, any other things to point out. You can specify a locality with this include only locality and or a postal code with this include only postal code, and that will limit your results to either that locality or postal code. You can also put in multiple localities and postal codes. So you can say like, oh, I want maybe an address in Ottawa or in Toronto, and you can put in both of those. So let's go ahead and hit this first result. And so you can see the entries denotes that there are 54 entries for this input. So this 11 Laguna Parkway, which, as I said before, is an apartment building, has 54 more entries in it, or if it was a street on it. And then it has a address ID also associated with it. And so now let's say we want to go look into this apartment building and get all of those addresses that are associated with this 11 Laguna Parkway. So what we're going to do is specify this address ID as part of the URL. You can see right here. And then once we hit enter, it will take that address ID and then go look for more details with that address ID. So if we hit that, you can see I just specified the first 10 results, but if you were to specify all of them, that would be the 54 results. So you can see we have 1-11, 10-11, 11-11, and it will just match based on your input. And so you can see this is an example of one of the different formats from the US that we have. So in Canada, one of the address formats they have is to do the apartment number dash the primary number. And so this would be 11 Laguna Parkway, apartment 1. And so as you can see, this they all have entries set to 1. So this is the basically the final address in this grouping. So we just have all of these separate apartments in the apartment building. And so we actually will need one more search in order to get the metadata for this apartment building if you require that. And so that will be the same thing. We're going to take this address ID, specify in our request, and then that will grab the metadata for the address. So we'll do that. You can see this address ID, now we change it to the PD4D, which is, we should get results for apartment 1 on 11 Laguna Parkway. And as you can see, this is the final result that we will get. So we have the metadata with such as the locality, administrative area, the postal code, all componentized, so you can use that in any use case that you need it for. So let's now go to the demo page. Zoom bar is in the way.
Sneaking Zoom.
There we go. Okay, so again, if you go to smarty.com and then go to our international address autocomplete, you'll see this demo page. A probably important thing to specify for international autocomplete is you do have to specify the country at least. And so let's use that same address that we were looking at. So we have Canada. And we'll start typing, and should be noted as a developer, you can specify when to start sending the lookup, how many characters you would want to wait for until you start popping up with them. So with the results. So we're going to start typing 11 Laguna Parkway, and obviously as we type more characters, it'll search go for
yeah.
Classic autocomplete.
And so you see even here with 11 Laguna, we have our 11 Laguna Parkway, and that was the same address that we're looking for. And there's 54 more addresses here. So if we click on this, then now we see the rest of those results pop up. So we have our apartment 1, apartment 10, and so on. And so we can click on apartment 1. And this would be an example of filling in the rest of your form with those results. And yeah, and you can use our SDKs to easily implement this in your own product.
Acacia, a question has come up.
Yes.
So we have an individual that has tried the US addresses. They're using Smarty US, and they're hoping to get a lot of the same information through international that they get in US. For example, structural validation, CIP validation, or the equivalent, deliverable address, residential versus commercial. To what extent does this information available in the international license?
So in International Street, which was the first product that we went over, you'll get all of these components for the address. International addresses are a little different than US just because every country is different. So it's a little hard to present the same data just because they have different.
It's different depending on where it's at.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at our international street and you can see like all of this metadata that we return, even like the address precision is a little different because in our international product, we use slightly different terms. So for instance, delivery point is the most accurate precision that you will get, as in that is it's accurate to the point of this is where you would deliver a package. That's the point. And then, but US, obviously we have our awesome like rooftop geocoding that hopefully will come in the future for international. But as of right now, we're just up to the delivery point is the most precise that we can get.
The most precise that we can guarantee.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, amazing. Acacia just did live demos and nothing went wrong. So as we all know, with live demos often doesn't work. So that was pretty sweet.
And we didn't even need support.
Yeah.
We used support. We didn't need support.
But we didn't need her, I guess. But yeah, it's awesome being able to see those subunits available. Okay, and then just the last thing we wanted to go over is just some use cases or revenue builders, hopefully for you. When we're looking at, we work a lot with US businesses. So as a US business, using international autocomplete is awesome because you don't have to be there in order to verify that these are real addresses that you're working with, whether it's you're working with insurance claims or maybe vacation rentals and real estate and things like that. It helps a lot with improving fraud detection and risk assessments. And then just for general other things, data blending, routing, other things like that. And then with customer facing items, there's a lot you can do with that. So marketing mailers, making sure that you're not going to have any return mail, shipping. So that comes in as well with your reputation, your reliability. As a company, you don't want to be known for never being able to deliver and it always gets lost in the mail and, things like that. It can help if you're reliable in other areas of your business, you want to be reliable in your shipping and addressing as well. So that's helpful. And then obviously with autocomplete online forms and profiles is sweet, and less time on the phone with customer service reps when things go wrong with an address will kind of help prevent that. And then like data blending, anything from like a database side is always helpful too. So that's what we're working with there. And then we've got our available SDKs. So if you want to take a look at these and make sure we have what you need. And if you need something else, just let us know, because that would be cool.
And these are available on GitHub, and they're linked in our documentation as well. So you should be able to find them pretty easily.
You don't have to use an SDK, but you can
but
if you want it to be easy.
It's very helpful. So
and fast.
Recommend. Yeah.
That's great. Rust is the newest one we've added.
Yes. Yeah, we were very excited about adding Rust.
Yeah.
Which is most popular? Do you know?
I believe the JavaScript SDK is the most popular.
Nothing like that Java script.
Like that. So yeah, and then just how to access the API. We have a bulk address validation tool on our website, which is really helpful if you don't want to go through the process of implementing into your own systems. But obviously that's possible. And then a single address tool if you want to do some individual lookups, before you commit to us. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. And that's all I've got. So
awesome. Any other questions? Go ahead and send them into the chat. Do you want to? I think there's one more slide for me. Yes, this is my favorite slide. If you would like to try them out, you can do the same demo that Acacia just did. You can play with the API outputs that are on the site. You just go to smarty.com. You can try them there. You can also sign up for a free account. And then inside the free account, you can try out a free trial of International, and you can try hooking it up, see how it works with your systems. You can test that. The cool part about our trials, the cool part that I think is cool about them, is you could set up the trial 100% ready to go inside your system to see how it works. Like, build it, and then if you like it, then you just buy the lookups and it's already all set up. So there's not like you have to set up a test one and then set up the real one. A lot of people use our free trials just to set it up so they can get those free lookups during their setup. Again, smarty.com, and then you can find the International through our products. I also wanted to mention, I'll paste this in the chat here. Some organizations don't allow you to use the chat features. The chat does use cookies. That's how it knows who you are and remembers your chats from the past. But if you click on this link, smarty.com/contact/support, there's a load of other ways to reach out to our support team. If you would like more guided tours through setting up the API or seeing what exactly you're going to get when you're doing this. And so you can reach out to them by phone, by email, of course, the chat. We have a fax number, but it literally on it says, do people still use faxes? I don't know. I should look into the last time we got a fax that wasn't telling us about our extended car warranty. We accept smoke signals, domestic toll-free calls. There's all kinds of good stuff. So there's ways to reach out to us there. It doesn't look like any new questions have come in. So thank you very much, Caroline and Acacia. This has been very, very useful. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. There's going to be a short survey that'll pop up right after this session. We'd love to get your feedback and try to make these webinars even more useful for you. So thanks again for coming, and we'll see you all next time.